You want to be the king?
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Robbie had in common. Me, I couldn't. We had in common. We both couldn't find his ball.
Oh man, we had two Teds today. We had two Teds. Two guys who have no idea where the golf ball goes, and I gotta walk around. I gotta chase around. First, I go Ted over here, and then I got Mrs. Haverkamp. He goes, "Where's my ball?" I go, "Well, it's over here." He goes, "Right there." I go, "Nowhere near there. Nowhere near there. Way back here."
Matt, Ted, and I golfed with we got paired up with a guy, real nice guy, Robbie. He is a nice guy.
I was there. He's a nice guy.
I know, but I'm telling our listeners because you just go into these things, no one knows what we're talking about. So we got paired up with this guy, Robbie. He's in a cart. He's an older guy, probably 65, 70 years old. And he's recovering from hip surgery, crushed his hip and broke his fibula, so he's riding in the cart.
Did he see how he did it?
No.
Oh.
Pretty hard opioid addiction.
I thought it was I'm sure it was a ladder.
He seemed like a guy who would fall off a ladder.
Yeah. I'm assuming it's a ladder.
He seems like a Social Security disability type of guy, you know?
No. He just seems like a guy who would fall off a ladder.
He hit his ball. He had a hard time tracking his ball. He'd hit it straight up in the air, and it would land 50 feet in front of the tee box, and he'd have no idea where it is. That's happened to me before. So I was like, I'll watch your ball.
We've all done it.
But on the first tee, actually, I did see his ball. It went straight up in the air, went down the middle, and we couldn't find it. We couldn't find the first shot off the tee.
We never found it?
Never found it. We had to take a job. We were looking, and I saw it. It went up, and it was like in the middle. I'm like, but it didn't reach the fairway. And I'm in the rough.
This time of year is hard.
I mean, it was
the sun.
It wasn't that bad. It was actually pretty well clear.
I had a hard time. We couldn't find. Yeah.
Teddy, you know what I was thinking right now? You are not the kind of guy who would fall off a ladder, because I don't ever imagine you being on a ladder. Could you imagine Ted ever doing any work around the house?
No.
Where he could be on a ladder?
I would delegate that job.
Ted's the kind of guy that walks under ladders. Ted, what do you got that ladder out for?
In case something falls, ladder will break its fall.
The ladder will break its fall.
Yeah, Teddy, have you ever fixed anything at your house?
Yeah, I think I fixed. I can't remember what it was, but I did fix something. I think I changed the filter in the furnace.
The light was off once, and I hit the switch, and it came on. Yeah. No, I always wondered.
Changed some bulbs. Mow some grass.
Yeah, because my soon-to-be son-in-law, I guess, is just a brutally bad.
Not a do-it-yourselfer.
Do-it-yourselfer.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a somebody else do it kind of guy.
All right.
That's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing.
Well, I mean, if he's going to rent, it doesn't matter. But if he's going to own a home, which I don't necessarily recommend
the
at
basic
the time.
things, most people his age are in the same boat. And I'm guilty of it, too, because I don't know, we don't spend enough time. The kids have no interest in watching me change the furnace filter. They have no interest in watching me, whatever it is, around the house. So they don't know.
Boys, you're doing it wrong. Pull your pants down. Watch this. I got this. I got this. Watch.
Why does it always have to come to?
I mean, I'm not climbing on the roof. I'm not a professional. I mean, if something's wrong up there, I'm just going to get someone who's better at it than me, and I'm not risking life and limb to,
No, but that's why. I mean, so my dad was the same way. I didn't do anything. It was hand him something and then fall asleep or do whatever. But I kind of made Jack do more stuff. I was like, you know what? I started grabbing stuff, and I was like, you know what? There's nothing he can fuck up here. Yeah. The house isn't going to burn down, and I'm not doing anything so dangerous because I wouldn't do it because I'm not that good. Yeah. So I was like, go ahead and do it. He's like, are you sure? I go, yeah. And he was screwed up, and he goes, what'd I do? I go, I honestly, I don't know. But I guess we can try to fix it. If we can't, we call somebody.
But how many things can go wrong? Let's say you buy a house and it's reasonably in good shape.
Ted.
Yeah, I know stuff goes wrong all the time, but I mean, if it's like that bad, I mean. Like your hot water tank goes out. I mean, you get professional, right? You order a water tank, and they would just come over and put it in and solder it in there. And I mean, there's stuff that if you got to shut the whole power down to the house, if you got electricity, something electrical related, you got to shut off the main water line.
Wait,
do you really
heard,
mess
Mark?
with that
You
stuff?
heard that, right?
Yeah.
Solder.
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 Not sodomize, solder.
I was trying to figure out what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Is that how you put one in?
Glue it with a torch.
Yeah. But I mean, you got to be able to take the water heater out by yourself, right? Save a few dollars so you're not spending, you're not having somebody. I mean, it's kind of emasculating.
That old water heater's worth money.
Yeah, but you know what too? Aren't you at the point of your life? It's like okay, like for example, I could probably change the oil on my car if I really had to, but I mean. Wouldn't I just take it to Jiffy Lube and just pay the $60? I mean, yeah. Is it cool? Is it like emasculating if I don't want to do it?
How do we get from house to car?
I don't because it's the principle.
It's
the same. I mean, yeah. If I had to change a flat tire, I would. But I mean, I'm not a do-it-yourselfer. I'm not a handyman.
No, I think it's totally different.
I think some people are more skilled at it than others. Some people are just naturally good at it.
My next door neighbor Bob.
Yeah.
He changes his own oil, changes his own brakes.
Yeah.
He does all that stuff. And I'm just like, and it always freaks me. He's right there. He's just doing. I told you, he's the guy who took somebody had a scooter, a regular scooter, powered scooter, and it was busted up. So he takes it all apart in his garage. Yeah. Now it's in his garage, and it's like a picture. Everything is just put out, and all the pieces are there. And I'm like, hey man, what are you doing? He goes, oh, this guy had a scooter, and it doesn't work. I said, what are you gonna do? He goes, oh, I'm gonna take it apart and put it back together. And he took it apart, and he put it back together. And like 3 days later, he's just riding up and down the block in a scooter. I'm like, it was literally every single piece was apart.
Yeah, so my brother-in-law's that way. Like, he can just fix any type of car. I mean, within reason, and like any type of do-it-yourself. He just sees it, and he doesn't have to read like the Time Life books or like go to YouTube. I mean, he just remember Time Life books. Yeah, but he just intuitively knows. Yeah, if he had to do like drywall or something. I mean, other than like a load-bearing wall or something. I mean, he could probably just do anything. Some people are just talented.
I think if you buy a house, there are certain things that you should need to get done and know how to do it. Like one, basically. And this is so simple.
It's called being a man.
No, I'm not talking about being a man. It's about a homeowner. It doesn't matter. Them, they, he, she. Doesn't matter. Like my wife's friend years ago at one of her first jobs, her house caught on fire because she didn't know that you have to empty the lint.
Yeah, the lint from the dryer. I mean, that's common knowledge, right?
You know the lint catcher that you empty every time? I mean, I do every time.
Yeah,
come on.
She didn't know that. Nobody told her. She didn't know there was a lint thing there, and she didn't know. She actually they had a fire in their laundry room.
See, now I would find her father and her mother, and I would slap them both.
See, even I know that much. Or just like, for example.
And then here's another thing, too. I know somebody in the wintertime here in Chicago, if your outdoor spigots for the hose are set up a certain way, you've got to turn that water off, or your water lines will freeze.
Sure.
Yeah, true that, yo. True that.
Unless you have, the cutoff valve is inside the house where it won't freeze. Yeah. Some people don't know that.
Just basic stuff.
You got to know how to change your furnace filters.
Yeah, super basic stuff. Yeah.
But you know what?
You got to know where the water shutoff is in the house.
Yeah,
shut the water off.
The B box. The B box. It's called the B box, like the main water valve. So in case you got to shut off your main water line. Usually it's in the front yard or something.
Mine is in the house. It's just a fucking lever that you just pull.
Okay, yeah.
Mine's right over there.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, this is one of the things I've always argued about for high school education.
Yeah.
We don't actually educate anyone to live a real life. We teach them the Pythagorean theorem, right? We teach them how to figure out pi. We teach them how to diagram a sentence, right? And then they read Shakespeare, but they don't know how to they don't know how a checkbook works, right?
Credit card
you don't really use anymore.
Credit cards.
Yeah, you don't understand the concept of credit cards and carrying balances and fixing anything or doing anything.
Read a financial statement.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so bizarre to me. Like, you're getting screwed on this. You're not getting screwed. We don't do anything to help anybody
in the real
become
world.
a real person.
Yeah, which is funny. But here, that goes to another point. So, like, I think we're teaching the same type of education for the last 50, 60 years, but the cost of that same education has gone up exponentially over the same period of time. But it's basically the same education. Like I was arguing before, if you got into Harvard, if you're looking to get into Harvard, the education you get at Harvard for your basic courses is the same as going to the University of South Dakota, right? It's the same curriculum.
You're out of your mind.
Yeah, I mean your basic stuff: math, science, English, history. No. It's just the prestige of Harvard.
No. Don't say Harvard.
Ted,
maybe say Michigan or Indiana, but don't say MIT or Harvard or
Ted. First of all,
those
at Harvard
and
Michigan,
it's not the
they're
same
going
education.
They're going to use way bigger words than at the University of South Dakota.
And the funniest thing with schools like Harvard and Yale and those other important schools, you're not even being taught by a professor most of the time. You're being taught by a graduate student because professors are too busy going on CNN or writing their research papers because they're very important.
Publish or perish.
Because they're very important people.
You know what?
They're very important people.
It is kind of a weird concept, and there probably has to be some pretty serious changes, right, in how we do it.
Yeah.
Because it's not really helpful.
How we teach all of our youth.
Yeah, because it's not really helpful.
Yeah, I mean
they know how to work a remote.
Yeah, I mean
control.
the hardest part of Yale is
damn well
just getting into Yale, right? I mean, so once you're in Yale, I mean, if I got a C average at Yale, you know what? Nobody care if I get out of Yale and they say, "Where'd you go to school?" I went to Yale. Oh,
what the hell's a bad man anyway?
Ted, you know what I would? Oh man, I would have loved if you and I would have gone to college, like some high-end college. Because I barely went to high school.
Just boarding school, you two, like a boarding high school. Like,
oh man,
bad school for men
with uniforms. With uniforms.
Yeah. I can't listen. I can't keep.
Yeah, of course, with uniforms.
Fawn Leibowitz.
Yeah, I can't keep 2 golf shirts clean to go work at the golf course. How would I have a clean uniform every day? I mean,
but you know, but if I had to do it all over again, and somehow if I was in the right social circle, I would have loved to go to like a high end, I don't know, whatever school.
It's an education thing. I don't think it's just I don't think it's who you blow. I think it's what you know. Yeah, I think at some point you would have had to pass a test or do something.
But all three of us are all. Well, I went to Catholic high school, but I was grammar school. I went to public.
I mean, what's the difference between Catholic high school and a public high school?
Well, now it's huge. It's huge. Yeah.
Why?
Well, I don't know. Like 30 years ago, well, I'll tell you. I mean, I don't know specifically, but like 30 years ago, 7% of people, attended non-Catholics attended Catholic high schools. Now, the amount of non-Catholics that are going to Catholic schools, grammar high schools, is like almost 30%. 30% of every student in a Catholic school is not Catholic.
Oh. What do we do? Lynchings? Burnings? I don't understand.
There's a reason for it because no. I'm not saying it's a better education, but I do think that in the private sector, they can take certain liberties and hold people more accountable than you can in the public school system. Like in the public schools,
can they still do beatings and stuff?
No, but you could tell them, your phone ain't coming in this classroom, and they sign an agreement to it. You can't do that in the public schools.
No, they would actually. There would be a lynching. It would be the teacher. Yeah.
I'm just saying that my kids can have their. I mean, just about any classroom they could have their phones with them. Some classrooms they have phone banks now, but they now this year it's different than it was. But last year, my kids had their phone in their classroom the whole time.
Well, in college, everyone's got a computer.
You can't do that at Notre Dame and shit. They won't let you have those in the classroom.
You got MacBooks, you got iPads.
That's the biggest. I mean, what do you need your phone for if you got a computer in front of you all day long?
Plus, AI is going to write your term paper anyway. So what's the difference, right?
Oh, Ted,
Ask AI.
AI
you know what?
For Ted's tips. We might not need you, Ted.
Hold on a second.
Matt's been stressing out each and every week, and you might not be.
I might not be. I think
necessary.
I've been.
Wait a minute. That's a great idea. Holy crap! What if every week, whenever I find whatever the listener sends to me, I'll send it to Ted, but I'll also put it on ChatGPT, and we can compare what ChatGPT says to what Ted says.
First, we need to introduce ChatGPT to Ted, and then it could tell us from Ted's perspective.
Oh my God.
So we could feed it.
Could you imagine Ted destroys AI?
No, actually, ChatGPT is useless. You want to get the app you want to get is where is it here?
DirtyWhores.com.
Chat and Ask AI. ChatGPT is useless. Chat and Ask AI is the more intuitive one, but it's a paid subscription. So I don't have it.
I'm not going to. Okay, where's the free one, Ted?
That's the free one, but it's updated as of September 22. Everything you put in there is like
it's
September 2021. So it's
I'm not going to pay for Ted's tips.
No, but right now it's like it's in the beta stage, right? It's like when you feed it, it's learning.
But this one, Chat and Ask AI app, it's a paid for. I haven't paid for it, but apparently that's the more intuitive one. That's the one that can write your term paper.
Well, why don't we have an app for Ted? Ask Ted.
Yeah,
or just call it Ted.
Yeah, you know what? I want the least intuitive one because then it'll give me an answer more like yours, and then we can compare them. Because I feel like you give us
not lately.
You think Ted's more intuitive?
Lately, he has been.
Okay. I mean,
too rational, man.
So you're saying he's not going outside the box anymore? He's staying inside the box.
Way inside the box.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like a Russian doll. I'm in a box that's in another box.
The last couple times you're way in the box. Like, just leave him home. Or tell him not to invite him.
No, I'm telling you, I'm gonna.
We couldn't kill him, right? So I mean, what choice do we have? You just gotta leave him home.
Ted, you know what? I always assume you're gonna kill yourself with a golf ball. Yeah, or alcohol poisoning.
I'm sorry, I actually almost hit you twice today. Like the one time, actually the one you didn't even see it. Like
His
the one,
fault.
I think it was the 7th fairway. You were like off to the side,
His
and
fault.
I said, hey, and you looked, but then you turned away, and then I actually
he had guys teeing off on the other side.
On the trees, and then I actually did put it like it was like right in your line, but over your head.
Actually, those guys cutting down the trees had his attention.
The good news is you wouldn't
even
know
like a 5-year-old.
You wouldn't even know what hit you. That's the good news. You would have died stupid and happy.
No, hold on a second. I'm gonna tell you guys what I saw.
We almost saw a guy die today.
I saw it, and I'll tell everybody. So they're on the golf course, and they got this chipper machine, and it goes in the back of the truck, and they just throw limbs in there, and it goes
large tree branches.
So I'm watching this genius, and he throws this really big log in. The first thing I do, and I'm yelling at these guys, he throws a log in, and it goes sideways, and it hits him, and it knocks him over. And I thought it kind of knocked him like into the chipper. I'm freaking out. You guys heard me. I was freaking out. Then we get up. It's right next to the hole, and it's super loud and it's super scary. And I look inside, and there's this like big V-shaped log stuck in the chipper, and the chipper is not working. Right. So it's still running, but it's not grinding. So what does the guy do? He grabs a chainsaw and he sticks it in the chipper to cut up the wood that's going in the chipper. And I'm just like, hey, guys, you want to see somebody die? Yeah. And I'm just like, you have to look now. I couldn't believe it.
Well, they're professionals. Well, actually, there was a story, I think,
he was doing it wrong.
He seemed completely the least professional thing I've ever seen.
There was a story a couple years ago. I think somebody, I don't know if it was like someone who was like arborist or something, but they actually did fall inside the chipper and
unfortunately in the wood chipper?
And unfortunately didn't make it, obviously.
Well, I think the way those things work is you have to feed it. It's not any fucking log can go in there like that guy was tossing.
Dude, he was throwing.
And I think you've got to feed it in there, or else there's a recoil. You know what I mean? If you toss it,
it'll kick back.
It kicks back, and that's what he was tossing shit in there.
Yeah.
So there was no
I thought he was going to
die. The only force that was being applied to that log was the momentum.
Yeah.
And it was, as soon as he lets go of the log, the momentum is slowing down, and then it hits something that's moving like that, the cutter, and it's just going to recoil and kick back out.
Dude.
And that's what he was doing. I think you've got to feed it in there, and the wood chipper has to get a hold of it, and then it pulls it in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He wasn't doing that. It was very scary.
Yeah. All I know is I'm sure OSHA would not say, if a log gets stuck, leave the machine running and stick a chainsaw in there.
I think that company that guy should not have been operating that.
He did seem simple.
Oh man, and then I got to hit my ball out of the sand trap, Ted. So my focus is in the sand. Matt is behind me going ape shit. Mark, he's got the chainsaw out, and I hear everything.
I thought we were going to get to see.
I'm not watching it. I mean, he's like, the log is stuck. There is a V log. It's stuck, and he's got the chainsaw, and he's leaning in with the chainsaw right now.
He was leaning.
And I'm like, man, I'm in the sand
chipper.
here, buddy.
I'm
telling you right
glad
now.
You guys played the same shot, and I was completely away
Teddy,
from you guys.
I want that stroke back, by the way.
Yeah.
All I remember if somebody would have died in the hole, I just remember I three-putted.
Well, you know what was dangerous?
That's all I remembered.
When we did get on the hole, that wood chipper was actually angled towards the hole.
It was.
So if he was tossing shit in there,
it was spit out and a projectile hit one.
Everything.
Well, why couldn't it? Of course it could. And there was a guy that was 20 feet behind him in the van, working in the van, was back towards that. And he was throwing shit in there. It could have just
everything about
shot back out.
Everything about what happened.
So I'm glad I pulled the ball. It wasn't anywhere near
that. That guy's home right now, and he's probably got a little shrine, and he kneels down. And he goes, "Thank you, baby Jesus, for getting me through this again." Yeah. You know what? Now that I think about it, the chainsaw in the chipper and leaning into the chipper with chainsaw, probably a bad idea.
You know the funny thing when you think about it, like my job, for example, if I have the worst day ever at the office, could I get fired? But I'm not going to die. But these people could actually physically.
You don't know.
They could die or get maimed, like if they have a bad day.
Well, especially when they're on the golf course and you're teeing off on the next hole over.
Well, you could have killed. That'd been so
all of them.
Great if he lived through the chipper accident. Like if him and the chainsaw get caught in there in the next hole, you would have just brained him with a golf ball.
All those guys. Not one of those guys knows anything about golf, right? Did they look like they were golfers?
They were wearing. They were wearing hard hats. They were wearing hard hats.
But that's for the tree they just cut
It's not going to protect them if you hit him in the gurn. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to make that. I'm not going to make that judgment.
Speaking of protecting your gurn, this has nothing to do with the gurn. I just thought about it. Did you see in the news today that hockey player that died?
Yeah.
They're charging that guy with manslaughter.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Why did he skate him on purpose?
Did you see the video?
No. Did he step on him on purpose?
No, he didn't step on him. They were both.
I didn't see that video.
He got upended and his leg kicked out. The guy wasn't on the ground. He wasn't on the ice. I mean,
were they in the parking lot?
No, they were on the. I'm saying he wasn't lying on the ice. He was skating.
He was skating.
Okay.
The guy was cut.
Yeah, the guy that hit him with the skate got upended and his leg flew and he kicked his leg out like a karate kick.
Okay.
And it caught the guy in the neck.
Oh, okay.
How was that?
Yeah, how's that even
was that premeditated?
Yeah, because
was he Bruce Lee?
Because the way they were making it sound was like he was already on the ice. He was down, and this guy somehow like.
No, he was not on the ice.
So that how could they charge him with manslaughter? Yes.
So the article is very short, but the guy's been charged with manslaughter. He's been held ever since after the game. They arrested him after the game.
There's got to be more to it.
Yeah.
I know, but he's been in custody since the game ended, and now he's.
Did they win?
Now he's officially. They canceled the game. Now he's officially being charged with manslaughter, and they're not releasing his name.
And they showed a picture of him.
They're not releasing his name.
Yeah. Oh, remember?
But I mean, he was in the game. They know who it was.
Yeah, remember the movie Blaze of Glory? There's that one super dangerous move. It was like I can't remember who the actor was. It was silly. Where it's like if you do it wrong, you like decapitate your partner. You're like spinning it. It's like ice skating. It's like extreme ice skating.
Yeah, I don't know. You got to see the video. It's very strange. So
well,
now,
can you grab it and post it on the website?
I guess. Now they're I guess this material's been out for a long time. You just put it on your neck. It's like
a couple of the Hawks guys are wearing it. I saw them.
Right, and I guess a lot of the guys in the lower leagues wear them all the time, but it doesn't. You don't even know it's on.
Well, it's like a collar that.
Yeah, but it's like tough. It's like straw. It's like it won't.
It's kind of like a bulletproof vest for your. It's kind of like chainmail for your neck.
Yeah, it's real light.
Yeah,
it's not,
but it's like Teflon or something.
Yeah, but it's very light. Like Bedard was saying, he wore one or whatever, and when he was junior hockey and all through whatever, and he said you don't even know you have it on.
He didn't go to college.
No, I know. But
I think that's a great idea.
I don't understand.
Obviously, yeah. So
I always wonder about that. I mean,
I'm surprised actually it hasn't happened more. I think in the NHL, I think that happened about a few years ago. I remember some guy, he got cut, but
a long time.
And he was bleeding a lot, but he lived. But the point is, he got cut really good, and he was.
I mean, you know what? I mean, NASCAR stuff makes our regular cars safer, right? NASCAR and Formula One.
Well,
so
the UK league that this happening next year, starting 2024, they all have to wear those neck guards.
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Well, in baseball, remember the guy who got hit with the foul ball, like right behind the helmet. So now they have that extended helmet where it goes.
No, that's not what. That's not. No.
Oh, okay.
No, I know what you're saying, but this frustrates the shit out of me. So he was at first base and he got hit in the jugular.
Yeah,
exploded.
Right. It was right behind the ear. So whatever that artery is.
No, it was in his neck. It hit him in his neck.
No, I think right behind the ear. But
carotid artery.
Correct.
And he died instantly.
Yeah, sure.
So now they make all the base coaches wear a helmet.
Yeah, because he wasn't wearing a helmet.
But that doesn't.
But it doesn't protect your neck.
So you need a necklace.
That's the crazy.
Hold on, we're rich. Hold on a second. A neck protector. For baseball.
Man, he got hit in the neck and died. So now everyone has to wear a helmet.
Okay.
Like John Olerud.
Well, you remember the guy who tried to get on a plane years ago and he had a bomb in the shoe, and everyone has to take off their shoes at the airport now because of this jagoff. Remember that guy he was called the shoe bomber?
Is that what it was?
Yeah. So some guy, some random dude, I think it was after 9/11. He tried to board a plane. He had some type of minor incendiary device in his shoe. And then as a result of that, he got caught. But the point is, that's why we all have to take our shoes off at the airport now.
Not me. I got TSA.
Yeah.
You're pre-checked.
Same here, Teddy. Yeah, I don't have to. Yeah, I'm kind of special. All right, we need to get this thing rolling.
Very special.
Okay. Hey, everybody. My name is Matt, and this is the world's most amazing podcast, the Real 3 Idiots podcast. Imagine if a peanut butter and jelly sandwich had a threesome with the space shuttle and the world's coolest horse. Yeah, that's a pretty good description. I told somebody that.
Kinky.
They're like, that's a perfect description for your show.
Kinky.
Okay. With me, as always, are the two kings of jest, Mark and Ted.
Happy Thanksgiving, but just not today. In a couple of weeks from now.
What, like a week and a half?
Yeah, a week and a half. Wow.
Best holiday of all holidays.
We're gonna have a show right before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we'll put out a show in the week of Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
so when you're home and you're with your terrible relatives and you're drunk, just, you know what? Just go in the bathroom, put on your headphones, and listen to the show.
Yeah.
Hey, so this is about idiots. So speaking of idiots, is this not more relevant now than it has been ever in history? Mark Twain quote, "No amount of evidence will ever persuade an idiot."
That's true.
Isn't that great? I thought of this. I saw this quote and I got in an argument with a friend of mine the other day who's just going off on this conspiracy theory that has no evidence or no.
Is he friends with my friend?
Nothing, right? And I'm like, dude, you just can't say that without any evidence. It's important.
Well,
I could say anything I want, but
did he say? But they do on Fox News.
And then I told him that quote. I go, no amount of evidence, no matter what I tell you, I give you all the evidence in the world that shows you otherwise. It won't persuade you. And he's like, that's right. I go, that's because you're an idiot.
I think
that's the definition of an idiot.
There's another expression out there. It says, I can't remember exactly what it is, but it says, between genius and idiot, like genius has limits, stupidity has no limits. Right? It's kind of the same concept. Right? There's no limits.
I would agree with that, but we got to keep going.
Okay.
All right.
Let's soldier on.
All right. Let's get to our sponsor for Ted's Tips. Do you play sports but can't seem to win enough for your liking? We have the answer for you. The Stanton Method. The Stanton Method lets you play like you always do. Then, using our creative scorekeeping, in-play adjustments, and directed amnesia, your outcomes just keep getting better and better. You will win more than you ever have, and you won't have to play better, practice more, or even be good. The Stanton Method works for all sports at all levels. Don't just take our word for it. It's been used at the collegiate and professional levels. University of Michigan football coach Jim Harbaugh has been using it for years. So has Patrick Reed, cyclist Lance Armstrong, and the entire Houston Astros baseball team. Don't waste time practicing and working out, not to mention the money on expensive lessons. Go to StantonMethod.com today, and you'll be saying, I win tomorrow.
Good one.
Gracias, amigo. All right, Marquise.
You all right, Ted?
I am now.
All right. This is the tip for the show. Teddy's best episode. And there's nowhere to go. Oh, no. Ted made his choice. And now it's up to Matt to chime in gracefully, though you hold the key. But Teddy, whenever you tip me, I'll be there. Whenever you need Ted, Ted tips here. Whenever you need him, Ted tips there. Ted tips around.
Oh, man, I love
Spinners.
that song. That's the Spinners?
I'll be around. Yeah, the Spinners, man.
Whenever you need Ted, he'll be there.
See, Matt should be singing these songs, not me.
Oh, man, I love that. Okay, Teddy, you ready for your tip?
Yes.
Okay. And I sent this to you literally 1 full week ago, and you definitely took a look at it on the way over here in the car.
I looked at it. I looked at it 1 full minute ago.
All right. Ted, you need to save my wedding day, and I don't want any of your wishy-washy crap. We are putting together the guest list, and I really don't want to invite a couple of cousins that I know are going to get drunk at the open bar and make complete asses of themselves and cause a problem. Here's the bad part. My uncle, my dad's brother, says he won't come, and my dad is not happy about that. My uncle's 3 kids will get wasted, and they will be a problem. This is the best part of this. One of them started a fight last Christmas over mayonnaise and Miracle Whip. My uncle is great. His kids really suck. What do I do? Danielle, 31, Lexington, Kentucky.
I want some fancy sauce. I want some fancy sauce.
Is that what mayonnaise is?
It's ketchup and mayonnaise. He goes, The stepbrother. She goes,
is that your secret sauce?
I want some fancy sauce.
That ain't no secret no more, Teddy.
Okay, I thought about this long and hard for several seconds, and I've come to the conclusion, okay, here's the thing. We can't disinvite them, right, because that would cause a whole hullabaloo of issues. So here's what you're going to do. Okay, you know what you're getting yourself into, so you're going to get ahead of it. Here's what you're going to do. Okay, let's assume there's three of them, right? 2 or 3 cousins.
It seemed like, yeah.
Yeah, so there's 3 of them. So you don't want to piss off the
her
dad.
uncle and her
yeah.
father.
So you're going to invite everybody. Okay, so that's done. I would just do this. I would hire just extra security. Just hire a little extra. I mean, whatever you're paying for the wedding. I mean, it can't be much. Just hire like an extra third-party security vendor. Assume these guys are going to drink to excess, assuming it's an open bar. Here's what I would actually do. I would actually purposely overserve them. Like, I mean, you know what they look like. So I would have 8x10 glossies of them, give them to the bartenders in advance. Just say, hey, when these guys come up, assuming they don't order beer, just load them up on liquor, get them drunk early enough, just knock them out of the game. And if they do happen to cause trouble or become rabble-rousers, you could just have them gently removed, and you're completely justified.
So you're going to goon up. You're going to goon up your own relatives.
Goon them up. Goon them up. I mean, I'm not saying drug them, but I'm saying like if they order like a rum and coke, give them like a double and a half, and that way, maybe they'll just get drunk early enough. We've seen this at Christmas parties. Like I remember going to a work-related Christmas party. It was open bar. The guy, he drank way too much. By the time the festivities started, he was already out. So he wasn't even like there. So I'm not saying it's going to be tough with 3 of them. But, I mean, if you could just knock 1 or 2 of them out, maybe they just won't,
Wait, what if you roofie them? Wouldn't that work even better?
We're not going to roofie them. I'm just saying, I would just like assume.
No, but okay, hold on a second. What I'm saying is that if they get it, instead of ordering a double, just throw in what's your favorite phenobarbital? Is that? I don't know.
Well, that's an execution drug. That actually stops your heart. You don't want to.
You know what, Danielle, don't do that.
Ketamine.
Yeah, but no. Get them. Just get
gummies.
Do that.
How about some gummies?
Yeah, so that they just like become incapacitated, and you can just drag them off to the corner. And then they can just mumble along with the songs.
Yeah, I suppose there is something you could you could add to the drink that it's like a sedative, that just gently incapacitates them without hurting them, where they don't need ER services. Yeah, where they just, I mean, yeah, I'd have to research it. But yeah, is there something, I'm not saying spike their drink, but I'm just saying, like, if you obviously know what they look like in advance. So just, I wouldn't, advise your party guests, because that would be too awkward.
Tell everybody except the bad cousins.
Yeah. So the bartenders just say, hey, there's 3 guys. If they come up and they order something other than beer, just give them a little bit extra every time. And then just have a little extra security, and then just keep it like almost like it's like in football when you have your best player, you have a guy shadow that guy. You're just shadowing these guys, and then as soon as they cause trouble, you're just on it. And so it's so even if there is some disruption to the ceremony, and hopefully there's not, or the reception, you just get them out of there right away. But so you just get ahead of it.
Wouldn't the whole security, that whole fiasco, be what she's trying to avoid in the first place?
Correct, but I'm saying you're gonna since it could be coming. You just want to prepare for it in advance, and that's why. Let's just say most weddings you don't have security, right? You don't hire like a security guard or something. Or
Ted, have you not been to? I mean, besides your own wedding,
I haven't been to a wedding in a long time. But yeah, okay, so you have security.
No, Ted, generally, there's no security, no armed guards.
Yeah, not an armed guard, but just
no stun guns.
Yeah.
Mark, are you going to go with me on this?
Ted, why don't they just set up like a full bar, like a fake bar on one side, and tell them that's the open bar and this is the cash bar. And then in front of that fake bar, there's like a trap door. And when they go over there, the trap door just drops, and it goes a slide right out the back door, and they can't get back in.
Mark, could I go with and Ted hasn't mentioned this in a while, the moat?
Moat.
Moat.
Yeah.
Just keep them on that side.
So the slide goes under and on the other side of the moat, and they can't get back.
No, actually,
over.
it goes to the Phantom Zone, like in Superman. They're just like.
Or like I think Ted's got a good idea. I think the security. I actually think having.
I do.
I think it's a good idea.
But he's not a uniform security. Like it doesn't say security on it.
Yeah.
Undercover.
Just the guy. Yeah, he looks like a guest.
Oh, what if it's the bartender? What if you hire Mr. T to serve drinks?
Yeah. No,
and he had to.
I pity you to get fucked up after this drink. Yeah. Fool, you mess up, you out.
So whatever they're spending on this wedding, assuming
best behavior, motherfucker.
Assuming they're spending a pretty penny on this wedding, just hire like just hire like 2 guys that are like, say they're like,
who's not afraid of Mr. T?
They're bouncers.
I'm terrified of
they're bouncers or they're off-duty police officers. They're not in uniform. They're not threatening anybody, but they're there for the specific reason they're there is to watch these 3 guys, right? Because we all know they know who they are, and as soon as they get out of hand, just gently, remove them from the scene. It's like Roadhouse, right? He goes, "You want to be nice, right up until time it's not to be nice."
Okay,
right?
okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
3.
You know what?
Hire 3 coolers.
3 coolers.
Yeah. I mean, but the other option would be to roofie them. I mean,
but then
the venue's never going to go.
But then if
they
die,
what do you mean the venue?
Well,
you slip the bartender an extra $100. He's probably trying to roofie half the girls, right? So he can get laid at the end of the thing.
But then it's drugging and conspiracy, and then you're in a Bill Cosby situation, and
she did mention it was. She did say it was in Kentucky, right? Lexington, Kentucky.
So they're fighting over mayo and Miracle Whip. Of course, it's Kentucky.
I mean,
and give the guy all the Miracle Whip.
They're probably from Florida.
Actually, give him all the Miracle and Mayo Whip, Mayo and Miracle Whip he wants. Just say whoever needs it that bad, just say here's a jar of both.
Could you imagine? I mean, the holidays are coming up. Could you imagine? And I don't have a lot of cousins. I mean, I only have. Because I see 2 cousins.
Give me a high number.
2.
No, give me a high number of cousins that you think a lot of cousins.
I mean, like 8 or 10. That's a lot of cousins, right?
I have like almost 100 cousins.
Wow.
Jesus Christ! Did your parents ever? I mean, did anybody in your family ever watch TV, or did they just have sex?
I have close to. Well, I have 1st, 2nd, and 3rd cousins.
Oh, you rank them? You're a 3rd cousin. You're such a piece of crap. You're a 3rd.
I have 17. 18 first cousins.
Wow.
And then
God
because my parents were so young when they got married.
It's like an army.
Their cousins.
Were they 9?
No, my parents were my mom was 20 when she had me. So they got married when they were like 19
and then
20.
She constantly had babies
but
for the next 30 years.
My mom's first cousins are some of them are only 15 years older than me. So I always grew up like they're my cousins too. And there's like 25 second cousins.
Jesus Christ!
Yeah, I have a huge extended family, huge.
And no one's in your family's ever heard of birth control. At no point.
I will tell you this: one side of my family, I have 11 first cousins. Not one of them, except for my brother and I, had a child. They all were out of wedlock. All their kids were out of wedlock.
That used to be a big deal, but is that a big deal?
It's not.
No,
I mean,
but it's just not one. Not one of my cousins could have a kid after they got married.
I mean, on Jackie's side, it's kind of the same thing. I mean, I just don't think people get married.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't like the 1800s. Remember the term the bastard? If you have
Well,
a
they
kid out of
eventually
wedlock,
got
it's called a
married.
bastard.
A lot of
Like
them
who
got
calls a
married.
kid a bastard anymore? It's like a villain in a movie. Like, you're a bastard. I mean, nobody uses that term
you know
anymore.
what we can,
so.
what we can do right now? We can find out if that's a thing in Australia. If our guest can, I told you guys, our guest is from Perth, Australia. Okay, so
Home of the deadliest snakes.
So Tim, do
true?
they use the word? Do they use the term bastard for people who have out of wedlock in Australia? Is that kind of a big deal, or does nobody care?
They use the word a lot, but not so much for people born out of wedlock.
That's a great word. It's a great word, but I
Not
like it when
really
it's
something
not.
they care about.
Oh, okay. So you just kind of use it as like an angry thing.
Or a term of endearment. It's
What's like an insulting term? I can't remember. What's
You
like an
lucky
insulting?
bastard.
What's an insulting term in Australia? Like if you want to call somebody like a bad name, like what's like the worst thing? I mean, or the second worst thing that you could say.
The second worst.
Yes. Like a bloke. Like, you don't say bloke, right?
No,
bloke.
that's a friend.
friends. Oh, friend's a bloke. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're a little upset at somebody, let's say you're driving down the road and somebody cuts you off, what would you yell out in Australia?
So what's like the go-to word?
Is this a family show?
No,
it is not.
Yeah.
No one's family
Tim,
should ever
you could
listen
say
to this.
wanker.
No one's,
you could say wanker.
No, oh yeah, wanker. No one's related
Okay.
here. No one's related here.
Well, it's kind of weird because terms that you might use in a derogatory way, you could also use in a kind of a jokey, friendly way in a different context. So cockhead might be the first.
That's a good
Nice.
Okay, I like that.
good
I like
one.
that. You know what? I like that. I like that you're thinking so wholesomely that you can't come up with a bad word. Because if I started drilling these two buffoons, we would get. I mean, we
Oh
could
my
probably
God,
get
forget
an hour's worth of bad words,
Forget
and
it.
then we'd never be able to talk to you. But let me introduce everybody and let everybody know who you are, and then we'll get it started here. Our guest today is Tim Carey. He's joining us all the way from Perth, Australia. He is a professor at the University of Newcastle. He's written a bunch of books, including a few on psychotherapy. Okay, so this could turn into an intervention for Ted. Okay, and the reason Tim is here is because he wrote a really cool article on being average and how the world is basically pretty average, and it blew me away. So, Tim, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you very much. Can I just say I'm actually at Curtin University, not academics get into all sorts of titles. So I'm an adjunct at Newcastle University, but I'm actually employed as a professor at Curtin University, which is in Perth.
Oh,
Okay.
Oh, thank God, because the University of Newcastle, I hated that place. Yeah, we can. You know what? I was going to badmouth it, but now I don't have to. Oh, that is awesome. Okay, before we get into making everyone sad because they're going to realize they're average and not the special little people that their parents told them they were, you actually wrote an article on advice, right?
I've written a few, yep,
Yeah.
I think.
Okay. So you said that advice is never helpful or unhelpful. It's following the advice that's the issue. So did you hear Ted's advice to the woman with the wedding problem?
With the three
Yeah, I did hear that. Yes. Yeah.
soon-to-be drunk buffoons. who
I
need to
followed
be-
along, I think.
Okay. So what did you think of Ted? Since you're kind of like a advice professional, what did you think of Ted's advice? And be 100% honest. If he's a cockhead, just say it.
Well, my advice as an advice professional is not to give advice. So I know very little about weddings. I got married in Las Vegas, so
Nice.
Nice.
just
Very
the
nice.
two of it.
Yeah.
No,
So
wait, were you at the Kiss Museum? Any chance you did it at the Kiss Museum, please?
no, not at the Kiss Museum. We did it in the little Chapel of the Flowers, and we knew each other before we got to Las Vegas.
Okay. You just met her there.
no, that's important.
No, that was my next question. Did you meet 15 or 20 minutes before you got married? Okay. I like that. Okay, so Ted, he's telling you don't give advice.
I actually, in the real world, I actually don't give advice, but I'm actually forced to on the show because that's part of my. That's what I'm being asked to do.
Yeah,
But you're right. I think unsolicited advice is unwanted advice unless somebody asks for it. So I agree with you conceptually on that.
So your advice is for him to keep giving that advice?
It's funny. The funny thing, the ironic thing is, like, people who do give advice professionally, I want to hear what they have to say. So I want to hear what he has to say.
I don't. I've listened to too much of it. All right, so Tim, let's get to your article. Give us the short version. What's the article about?
Well, generally, I think there's a lot of pressure on everyone to be the best that you can be. And the article was a bit of a reaction to that, I guess, that we don't always have to be the best we can be. Sometimes just being whatever we want to be is okay. We could be competent or adequate or average if we wanted to. We don't have to be the best at everything all the time.
And that kind of seems like that's one of those weird things. Like I think about sports all the time. When as soon as I read that article, and we've been talking for quite a while, a couple of weeks at least, and I think of sports, and I know we talk about all the guys that are great in sports, but really the team is made up of people who are average. I mean, and that's what we want, right? We want them to, like, if they're going to score 10 points, we want them to beat 10 points. Does that kind of fit in? Like, does the sports kind of concept of that kind of fit in to being average?
Yeah, I think so. In fact, I haven't thought about it for years, but Chris Evert, I used to play a bit of tennis, and Chris Evert, I remember her being out in Australia when she was playing, and they asked her after a match about being the best. And she said, well, not everyone can be number one in the world, and not everyone can even get in the top 10, but you can have a really good career, make lots of friends, see the world by being even in the top 100. So she was really, she was really kind of just be what you want to be.
That's actually really smart. I mean, I've thought about that before, because if you think about it, it comes down to averages. There's so many athletes. And success isn't necessarily it's you make your own success, right? You're saying, you don't have to be the best you, just be
competent.
What you want sometimes, right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess on a personal level, that makes a lot of sense, because we do put a lot of pressure on our children to be the best you could be, when just being happy sometimes is okay, as long as you're not being a jerk about it, right?
Yeah.
And I know you've got at least one kid, correct?
Yep, just one.
Okay, so you've got one. So do you notice yourself sometimes kind of stepping over that thing where you kind of push them a little bit more than you normally would, and then you kind of step back and be like, you kind of catch yourself saying, what am I trying to get this thing? What am I trying to get this kid to do this one time for this one thing?
Absolutely. I fuck up all the time as a parent. And in fact, maybe this article was part of my get out of jail free card. I was letting myself off the hook as a parent, but fortunately my 16-year-old lets me know when I step over the line. So he's very good at pushing back.
Yeah, you know what? I think they all are, and I mean, I think we can all, if we've ever coached our kid or went to a sport or even with school or anything like that, we get that insane thing, like they're not getting all A's, and because they're not working hard enough, or they're not trying hard enough, or they're not doing it, and we forget the fact that there's a thousand things that we do every day, and there's no way we could be great at all of them, right? So what's something, Tim? What's something that besides I would just, well, you can use that as your thing. What's something that you do great, and you're kind of cool with that, and then something that you don't do well that you've kind of accepted that you're kind of adequate on.
Okay. That's good. One of the things I like is writing. So that article about embracing averageness. I like writing. I write scientific articles for work, and I write those shorter articles for just but for the general public. So to make kind of sciencey things more accessible and hopefully helpful for people in their everyday lives. So I think about words a lot. I rerun sentences in my head and really enjoy playing around with words and so on. So writing's maybe something I'm okay at. Better than okay maybe on a good day. Maths, on the other hand, is something I continue to battle with. And it's interesting in the States. You guys refer to math, but in Australia we call it maths with an S. I don't know why we put an S on the end.
It sounds cooler.
Maths, yeah.
But we had 6 months living in New Hampshire a few years ago, and my son used to get picked up all the time at school about saying maths when it's math. So that was. He also used to put his hand up and ask to go to the toilet, because in Australia we call it the toilet, but over there you guys call it the bathroom or the restroom, and So the other kids would tell him, "No, it's not the toilet, it's the restroom." And he said, "I don't want to rest. I want to go to the toilet." So,
Cultural thing, yeah.
so writing, I'm pretty good at. Math, I did veggie math at school. I've kind of struggled with math. I'm a bit better at it now than I was,
Wait,
but I
what's
still.
What's veggie math?
Oh, well, that was the subject. So we had 3 different types of math you could do in secondary school. One was the real advanced stuff with, calculus, and the people who went on to do engineering did it. And then there was sort of just the normal maths. And then there was the maths for people who couldn't get into the other 2 maths classes. So it was,
it was
a bit like, the stuff you were talking before about in school not being kind of relevant to life. This was sort of like life math.
Sure, yeah.
Do shopping lists and things.
So I have a question about the article about just, it's okay. It's accept average, embrace it. It's okay. That's really a cultural thing, though, don't you think? I mean, if you look at certain cultures, like, one culture that comes to mind is Japan. There's so a lot of athletes for sure, but I think as a culture, they're so
competitive,
just competitive, and just really, really focused on being way above everyone else, from school to sports to technology, right? Technology, it's huge, and they're highly successful on all levels and all fronts. But I mean, think about we compare our kids to those kids and the pressure they have in school and how intense it is. So that is really it's refreshing, but it's really a cultural thing, right?
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I think cultural, but also maybe a level of affluence. I think when we get to be in a society that has a certain degree of well-offness, that we can worry about things like this. I had before starting at Curtin Uni, I had a couple of years in Rwanda at a university there, and 75% of the houses in Rwanda still have dirt floors. They a lot of Rwandans, at least the ones I spoke to, didn't kind of spend a lot of time worrying about whether they were happy or whether they were fulfilled or whether they were the best at what they were doing. They were just kind of doing what they could to get by. So I think that's part of it too. It's certainly cultural. Some cultures prize individual achievement and autonomy over social kind of affiliation and social togetherness. So yeah, I definitely think that's a component.
Yeah, well, I think we've all heard the expression "keeping up with the Joneses" as we speak. Yeah, for example, you got to have that Tesla. Got to get that promotion. IGM, I got mine. My house is bigger. I got the McMansion. But you said, it's more of a cultural thing because, like I said, if you're just worried about your basic survival needs, you're not worried about having a 6-pack abs or,
Yeah, that kind of puts things in perspective.
Yeah, so it's all a matter of, just like, I think if you live in like a society where there's, you're already well-to-do, not necessarily monetary-wise, but just like, you're living very comfortably, then it's like, well, what's the next frontier? For example, we at work, there's always like some middle of a manager who says we need to do this better and faster, but there comes a point, well, this is as good as it's going to get. It's not going to get any better than this. No matter what system you put in place, you're not going to make somebody perform any better, even though we pretend that they are. I mean, I think about that too. Like, so, or if someone messes something up, but we have to change everything to make sure this quote unquote never happens again. Of course, it's going to happen again because it's human error. Yeah. So it's a silly thing. Yeah. So I know what you mean.
So we mentioned toilets in Australia. Here's a question.
Okay, I know what's coming.
Yeah, which way do they flush? Counterclockwise or clockwise when the water goes on the toilet?
Yeah, I know that's a thing.
It is a thing, right?
I can never keep track of it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know. I don't know what's way our toilets flow.
I think ours go counterclockwise.
I have no idea. All right, so Tim, just to get away from
moving on.
Yeah, to get away from the toilet talk, but I will mention the word shit. Okay, so everybody thinks that the kids today are kind of lazy pieces of shit, right? But could it be that they're actually the smartest generation because they're not killing themselves. They're not trying to work 70 hours a week. They've actually kind of learned and figured it out, and they're like, you know what? I could work 35 or 40 hours. I don't have to come in extra. I don't have to do all this stuff, and I can actually relax and enjoy life a little bit more than my parents did or their parents did.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely onto something. It's really interesting when you look back historically. I've got quotes from like the beginning of the 1900s where the adult generation were complaining about the younger generation as being lazy and immoral, and I just think it's a feature of us that we look at the younger ones and they're not kind of living the lives that we think they should be living. The world now is just a different place to what I grew up in. Imagine kids growing up never having known a world without a mobile phone or the internet or social media or all that kind of stuff. It's just even being able to do this. A few years ago, this would have been impossible. It's a different way of having relationships and being with other people that I know I struggle to understand.
Does all this technology, because we can see all the things from all the different places, does it make us more upset that we're average? Because most people probably realize that they're average, but when we see all the other people that are kind of achieving and stuff, does that kind of put pressure on us and that undue and kind of fake pressure that would doesn't really have any effect on us?
Well, I think that's a great point, and part of the reason that I wrote the article, there is such a lot of pressure in social media where everyone's portraying themselves as having these kind of ideal lives and doing great things when a lot of it is probably made up. I know a lot of the photos that are on social media are photoshopped the heck out of. There's a real sense of, and it's something we talk to our son all the time about, to kind of think about the source and where it might have come from and how it might have been created. I think you're absolutely right. There's a huge pressure from social media to be that amazing, wonderful person.
It is information overload.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
Well, it depends on how susceptible you are. I mean, some people maybe have that inner need to feel like they need to, show off, and just show off that, hey, I'm better than I think I am, versus someone who, like, say, accepts their lot in life and just say, hey, you know what, this is as good as it's going to get. I'm happy. I'm content with it. I'm not going to play center. I'm not going to play center for the Lakers. I'm not 7'3". I'm 5'9". So anyway, I'm going to go on record right now and just say, long before I ever met you, appreciate you coming on, I did a Google search of like averages, and I'm going to tell you the top 3 things that I put in. I'm not embarrassed to say it. Okay, I Googled average height of a man in the United States, average salary, and yes, I did Google average penis size. I had to know. I'm not going to admit it. Yeah, I admit it. I wanted to know, and then luckily I was 10 levels above everything. So
wow, I was hoping you were going to say that.
Ted. God.
So that was a close one.
Oh man, you know what, Tim? Here's a funny thing. Every time Ted talks, he does 2 things. He never asks a question, and he always terrifies me that this will be the last show we ever do with a guest. All right, so let me ask you this: in America, we have all these angry protests, and we have road rage and mass shootings, and I don't know if you guys have all that stuff. But if people would just embrace the fact that they're just going to have an average life, or their day is going to be adequate, would that kind of, you think it would kind of help people just take a little step back, do a little self-evaluation, and help them to think before they do something really stupid?
Yeah, I wonder if that's, if people themselves, but also if managers could back off a bit. We were talking about that before. If managers could kind of promote competence and adequacy in the workplace rather than excellence and being the best. I wonder if we could kind of chill out a bit more, take a step back, kind of relax a little bit. That everything, well, by definition, we can't all be the best at everything all the time. I think we could kind of slow down a bit and just kind of appreciate where we're at and what we're doing, and that we, in lots of ways, we've got enough to live a good life and be content.
We absolutely do. Okay, so here I'm going to share a couple of things, and I had to look up some averages too, just to see what people kind of do. And most everything I have is the America, because I didn't get worldwide stuff. But okay, you ready? Average American is 17 pounds overweight. Okay, I mean that's pretty reasonable. They spend 116 minutes a day on social media, and they drink 11 alcoholic drinks a week.
Oh, there's a day.
That would be terrible. But here's two scary things that it kind of they average. An average American exercises only 17 minutes a day, and they have less than $1,000 in savings.
I found that shocking.
So how does that kind of compare? If you're thinking about Australia, is that kind of? I mean, is it pretty standard? Because I really don't ever get to talk to anybody from anywhere else to kind of like get the idea of it. Does that sound pretty standard?
Yeah, that sounds like I think if you did a similar study here, you'd get kind of similar findings. I think. Yep.
But if you put it that way, I don't want to be average, right? It kind of makes you want to be above average.
Well, isn't that the thing though? I mean, in most of our lives, in a 60-70% of our life, we're probably all pretty much the same in everything that we do, right? I mean, does that sound kind of right? And then
within a range.
Yeah. And then it's those extra things like some people are better at investing. They're better at that. Some people are better at sports. Some people are better at helping their friends. Some people are better at all these different things. And just kind of like understanding the fact that you can't be great at everything, and kind of just I don't know, man, just relax a little bit. I feel like there's so much tension because you don't, hit a home run every time, and you don't do, you don't write the perfect article, and somebody calls you up and says, I know I read your article was in Psychology Today, and I'm sure somebody at some point, and I'm sure whenever you write anything, somebody calls you up and says, Tim, you were wrong on that. Does that happen? I mean, do you get kind of, yeah.
Yeah, not loads, but yeah, certainly people are very willing to. In fact, I wish they'd do it more. As an academic, one of the things that we have to go through is to get journal articles published, you've got to have your article peer reviewed, so other academics critique it. The critiquing I've had from people in the public has been much more severe than what I get from academics. I'd love to get a lot more of it, actually, because you find out what real people really think.
Sure. Yeah.
Oh man, you should. I try not to read. I mean, I do, but I try not to read the feedback we get from some of our listeners, because man, they just as soon as you say something incorrect, everybody just jumps on it like it's the end of the world. That I mean, I had to look it up. I had no idea where Perth, Australia, where Perth is as compared to Melbourne and all that kind of stuff. And I knew if I didn't look it up and I mentioned it, that somebody would get on one of our social media feeds, somebody would get on, and they do some do it nicely, but others are just like, how do you not know that Perth is on the east side of Australia and Melbourne is on the, and I'm like, man, I don't even know where half the states are half the states are in the United States.
Yeah, no, and we do this show live, so we make mistakes, and then we make a lot of mistakes because we're just flying off the cuff with a lot of information that we may not have all correct, and then we get corrected after the fact. But nobody can appreciate the fact that we're just kind of shooting a shit off on the fly
because
right?
we're just three average guys. Obviously,
yeah. So. You guys are amazing doing this. One of the reasons I like writing is because you can play around for ages to get the words right and make sure it's all the way you want it to be before you send it out. This stuff terrifies me.
Yo, that was funny. Yeah, that was funny because Tim was just like, I'm really nervous. I'm really nervous. And I'm like, you're literally talking to three idiots. And I go, and you're a master of psychoanalysis. I go, so just spend that time trying to figure out what's wrong with us. Yeah. And I go, if worse comes to worse, you can just mention, all the things that are wrong with us.
Tim, did Matt tell you this? Because this is the spiel he used to give all the guests before they came on the show. He would say, listen, if we say something or you say something and you listen and you're not comfortable with it, we'll dump the show. We'll scrap it. It'll be done.
No, I only did that for one person.
No,
one
you've
time.
done. You used to do that.
One person, one time.
I was under the impression that you told everybody that.
No. One person. So we were trying to get a big time guest on, and we never got them on. But I gave him the ability which no one else has. Tim, Tim. you can't call this back. Yeah. This is it's gonna whatever it is, it's gonna be out there. But yeah, I gave one person the choice, so if they came on, that if they thought we were kind of dumping on them, that they could scrap the whole thing. But
okay.
it was some, I don't know, some right end, kind of weird group or whatever. I have no idea. But let me ask you this. So I see what's happening in the Gaza Strip right now. Okay. And it's a terrible thing, and I just think, isn't it really just two groups that can't deal with the fact that they're both really just average, and everything they kind of deal with is just kind of standard for everybody else? And if they could, wouldn't it make it more likely that they could get along?
Yeah, I think you're really onto something. In fact, it's funny you should mention that. I'm writing a paper at another little blog article at the moment along the idea that it's our differences that are killing us, but it's our sameness that actually could solve the problem. And there's an amazing quote by the Dalai Lama, who says, I'm Tibetan and I'm Buddhist and I'm the Dalai Lama, but if I focus on all of those things, they're the barriers that divide us. But if I focus on the way that we're all the same, there's a much greater chance of building social harmony and cohesion and all kind of getting along together. I think that's exactly what's playing out in the Middle East at the moment, with the Palestinians and the Israelis. They're so focused on how they're different that they're killing each other. And I think it's our shared humanity, that's really going to be the source of the solutions to the problems that we encounter.
Yeah, because it's funny, because there's obviously enough resources out there to take care of everybody if they just work cooperatively. But like going back to human nature, if you believe in the Bible, there was Cain and Abel, and one killed the other, right? There's two people in the whole world, and one of them is a murderer, right? So I mean, if you believe the Bible, so I mean, it's just funny. Like, war is as old as time. So if we just got rid of the silly religious component, this happened 3,000 years ago, nobody knows anything, right? We're just making shit up, right? So just can't you just cooperate and get along? And then if they could just do that, and that's why human nature, as we're capable of such great things, but we're capable of such terrible things too, because we just can't get out of each other's way, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah. What a great and wise person the Dalai Lama is. It's amazing.
Actually, he tried to tongue a little boy. That's a true story.
Okay. You know what, Ted?
Jesus,
Ted,
just kidding.
Let's focus on the
kidding.
things. Let's focus on the positive things, not on the negative things.
I'm just saying.
You're doing it, Ted.
Well, I'm just saying when Tim could rattle off
that was
something that the Dalai Lama said like that, and it's just like wow. I mean, it's incredible.
Long hitter.
It is. All right. So Tim, before we let you go, what I want to do is I found some things that people said make America really weird. And so, so I wanted to know, and I guess these are things that the people from other countries say that this is really weird about America, okay? You guys obviously use the metric system, is that right?
Yep.
Okay, so do you guys laugh at us for using, like, the inches and stuff like that? I mean, we're kind of a joke about that, right?
Well, we don't really understand it, but yeah, that it's
My brother-in-law is an engineer, and he just one of his best lines is like, when we're working on something, we're doing something, he's like, God damn it, this would be so much easier if we were just on the metric system. If we were just on the metric system, life would be so much easier.
All right, here, this one. Going into debt to go to college. Does college cost you guys like $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 to go to school, or is it very inexpensive?
I think, and so you got to do the exchange rate as well, but a master's degree in Australia at the moment costs maybe around 30,000 Australian dollars.
Oh my God. Wow. It's got to be 10 times more than that. I mean, I know my master's was 80,000 bucks, 80,000 bucks.
Well, not including your undergrad degree to get to that point.
Yeah, I went to a really lousy school, so it was very inexpensive. Yeah, I wasn't very good. Okay, wearing swimsuits to the beach. Are you guys swimsuit people?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Ted, cancel our trip to Australia.
It's optional. It's optional there.
Wait. Can you be naked at your beaches?
Some beaches are optional. Some other beaches, it's hard to tell whether just how strictly people have interpreted the swimwear rule. Some swimwears look like they're optional.
Sure. Oh yeah.
Okay. All right. So Tim, I'll hit you up for that list later. So we can.
Yeah. So I actually read this. I know you guys are gonna hate this, but I want to bring it up. So I heard 6 of the 10 most deadliest snakes in the world are in Australia, or like at least like half the world's, like if you have the top 10 list of deadliest snakes, 5 of the 10 are in Australia. That's what I heard. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's probably right.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you guys walk around? Do you guys have tons of Starbucks like every 35 feet? And do you guys walk around with coffee all day?
We drink a lot of coffee, but there's not a lot of. There's a few Starbucks in some of the city. I don't think there's one in Perth that I've seen. But we have lots of coffee shops.
Are you guys obsessed with drinking water and staying hydrated? Does every single commercial and every single thing that you do focus on the fact that if you don't have a water bottle in your hand, you'll probably be dead in a few minutes?
No.
Here's a good question.
There's a bit of awareness about needing to hydrate, but it's not a thing.
Oh, God.
I wouldn't say.
So I read this. I just read this recently. So the average salary in the United States in U.S. dollars, I think, is about, I don't know if it's like a family of 4 or whatever, but I think it's about $45,000 to $55,000. How does that compare to like the average family in, say, Australia in your dollars? Yeah. So let's just say, I think the minimum wage here, for example, in the United States is like, I think they just raised it like $15 an hour in U.S. dollars. Like what's like the average hourly salary in Australia, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It would be, it's a bit higher than that, I would think.
Okay.
And the family average salary would be higher as well.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have different kind of social security benefits and so on, and like healthcare and so on costs a lot less
Right.
over here. We don't have tipping is not really a thing over here because our wait staff are paid a lot higher than
a
the
living.
wait staff
It's called a
in-
living wage. Your wait staff is paid a living wage.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna hit you with one more, and then we'll let you go. Okay, and this one I didn't even realize this because we do this all the time. Do people take leftover food home from a restaurant? Because from what I understand, that is a completely American thing.
Yeah, not so much. A little bit, but not it's not kind of a done thing. But the servings here aren't anywhere near the size that they are in the States. Like when we're in restaurants in the States, we were blown away by the size of the plates and the food that comes out. So the serving sizes aren't as big. And if you've got stuff left over, you can kind of ask to have a container to take it home with. But it's not a super common thing, I wouldn't think.
You got to bring the container back to them.
Oh, that is so. See, and that was one of those things when I looked it up. I'm like, I have to know some of this stuff because I have almost no frame of reference. I've only been to South America. That's it. And and it's everywhere I go is like a resort and fun things.
We had
that.
really close friends that lived in Melbourne for, they were there for 12 years. And they just moved back about 3 years ago. So they were there for 10 years, and they moved back 3 years ago. And it was right when we had kids, and we wanted to go, and they had a great place right off the water. They had a car. They were we never made it out there, man. And that's a big regret I have in mind because we would have been set. We could have stayed with them, no worries, But
well, Melbourne's the crap side of Australia anyway, right? I mean, we all know that.
So here's the invitation. Perth's here. You can visit anytime you like. It's an awesome city.
All right.
I'd love to visit Australia one day.
I know. I'm so excited. Well, listen, Tim, thank you so much for
Tim.
being on. I really appreciate this. I mean, I you know what? I love talking to smart people.
Then why are you here?
For a change.
Yeah, for a change.
Yeah.
To get away from these guys.
Okay.
So yeah, I really do appreciate
it.
And listen, if you get a new book that comes out, I know we didn't even touch on the fact that you're a teacher, and we could have done some of that fun stuff. But anytime you have anything new coming out or anything like that, let us know, and we'll have you back on and talk. It's just absolutely a pleasure to talk to you, and we want to thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks,
Tim.
No, thank you. This has been really wonderful. I really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
And I know it's like 9:30 in the morning. So
Yeah.
have a cup of coffee. We're gonna finish this up and have a couple of drinks. But yeah, have a cup of coffee and enjoy. And thank you again. Thank you so much for being on. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Take
Thanks,
care.
guys.
Take
It's
care.
been terrific. See ya.
You know what? See, I knew. I just the thought of the concept, right? Of being average and kind of. And not accepting your lot in life because that's silly.
I was just going to say lot in life. I mean, it's really your lot in
life.
life.
That's the focus of his article. That's what Ted and I were kind of talking about. Yeah. I mean, I think we're talking about averages, like the average American money earnings. I think his article is more about the pressure of being above average puts on you as an individual.
Well, look at work, for example. Let's just say you're a outstanding performer at work. What do you really get for that? You get more work, right? You get more complex work. You don't necessarily get more pay. If you make more pay, it's negligible compared to the average or below average people. That's at least what I've seen in my experience in the workforce. So it's almost like, I'm not saying quiet quitting, but I'm saying it's almost like detrimental to be above average, whatever pay grade you're in. Like, just say you're at the high end of your pay grade, whatever that is, and you'll get more work and everything and more stress, but you won't necessarily get recognized for that. So sometimes it's actually detrimental to be above average at work.
Well, that's the thing about, like, when we talk about the generation and being lazy, and he's right. Every generation complains about the people, but I think even now with all the info, I think 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds are realizing if I work 70 hours a week and I do that for 30 years and I piss away 30 years of my life doing that,
the best 30
years of my life,
and those 30 are gone.
Yeah, what have I done? I've made some asshole or set of assholes who are higher level than me more money, and they didn't need it. But what did I actually do for myself?
Actually, it's funny you should say that. I just read something. I can't remember the context, but it's called lazy girl jobs. Like certain women are quitting like high pressure jobs to just do completely chill stuff, and maybe they're making a little less, but it's like super low pressure, and they're actually reveling in that. So they're actually embracing, kind of like taking a job where there's less responsibility. And just, you might not make as much, but how much do you really need at the end of the day? I mean,
it really is. And, I was going to mention this funny story when he talked about his high school math, where he's in the low end.
Yeah.
When we got to college, we took teacher's math, and it was basically, here are 7 numbers. Which of these numbers aren't in order? Yeah. It was literally, that was
math for teachers.
Yeah. That was math for teachers. And if you aced all the tests, you didn't even have to take the final. And it was basically, and I was sitting in a class.
You're a teacher.
Yeah. It was, dude. It was the weirdest thing ever because I sat there and I'm like, oh, I walk out and I'm just like, oh, I don't have to come for the last 2 weeks of class. And people are like, oh, I got to pass this final. I'm like, wait a minute. Yesterday was questions. Which number doesn't have a 7 in it? Yeah, and I was just like, "Are you fucking?"
You know
with
what,
me
Matt?
right now?
Some of my favorite and best teachers were not the smartest people in the world, but they were the most caring and hardworking and interested in your becoming a smarter person. And I'm not bullshitting. Some of the smartest teachers I had in high school, those are very difficult classes to get through because they had a sense like a superiority complex about them. Yeah. Like we were all dumb and we didn't get it, and they spent less time teaching and more time like degrading us. And the other teachers that probably weren't as smart as them, we learned a lot more from.
Yeah, but aren't those people narcissists anyway? So, I mean, they kind of create this little fantasy in their mind where they just think they're more special than somebody else, but in reality, they're really not. So it's almost like a little social construct they have in their mind where they want to believe that they somehow know they have some secret information that nobody else has, when in fact, they're really not that much more clever than anybody else. But I guess they insulate themselves from reality by it's like magical thinking, right? Like if you believe something so badly,
I think every occupation has those people, right? And that just all they want to do is show you how smart they are, and they're not interested in helping you figure out how to do things better, right? Like you've had bosses who are busy telling you why you're a fuck up, and instead of helping you to not be a fuck up anymore, right? They're not interested in showing you stuff. Yeah. They're interested in showing you how much smarter they are than you.
Yeah, well, it's funny. Like by the time they get done like berating you, they could have told you how to do it right. Because I mean,
exactly.
Because nobody knows how to do. You can't assume everyone knows what you know. So like you have to show them what to do. But like like actually the bad boss, and I think I mentioned this several episodes ago. You could tell actually they're the actual incompetent boss. The incompetent boss, when you ask them a question, they basically get really defensive. They ask you a question on top of your question because they don't know necessarily themselves. So because someone who does know could just easily say, "Hey, let me just show you step by step," and that way, once you know, you don't have to broach that particular subject again.
I think that's to me one of the biggest things is the person. I was going to say guy, but I know a person. Yeah. The person who isn't afraid to say, you know what, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know that. Let me find out before I say something stupid and make it wrong.
And that's the thing, too. I mean, we shouldn't be afraid to make mistakes, it shouldn't be the be-all, end-all. And like I said, I think overall, like we're too polite with each other instead of just saying, hey, you know what? Let me just show you this. I mean, so we're scared to hurt someone's feelings because we live in a society where you can't hurt somebody's feelings because there's someone so sensitive. Yeah, have a little. I'm not saying like berate them, but yeah, have a little tough love. It's okay to critique somebody, in a polite way and just say, hey, this is what you're doing wrong. Let me show you this. And most normal thinking people could come around. It's just the purple.
So don't say, what are you, stupid? This is how you do it.
Yeah. It's obviously an approach thing. So
well, the thing there's two things I hated saying, and I tried never to say it when I was teaching. Is one, this is simple, because that's a ridiculous concept. Yeah. Right? And I heard teachers saying it all the time, and I'd be like, yeah, you don't want to say that. But it is. I said, no, not for everybody. The whole fucking world doesn't think that's simple, okay? I mean, Michael Jordan says, here's what I'm going to do. You're going to set a pick. I'm going to go over here. If this guy's open here, I'm going to pass it. If he's not open, I'm going to shoot it. And if I can do it, I'm going to dunk that. See, it's simple. And you're like, wait, I'm sorry. You said something about dribbling and looking?
I'm sorry. You said Michael Jordan was going to set a screen for somebody?
Yeah.
No, remember that Tiger Woods commercial? It was funny. That was when he was actually, this is back in his heyday. But I think there's a commercial where he goes, okay, first thing you're going to do is you're going to hit the ball 300 yards, and you're just going to hit a wedge into the green and just make the putt. And we just, for a golf lesson, hit the ball 300 yards. Yeah. It's simple.
And then the other thing I always thought was you learn more from doing something wrong than from doing something right. Yeah. Right? And 99% of the time when you fuck something up, it's not the end of the world. Nobody dies.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's in the Super Bowl, it's probably a tough time. It's a tough time, right? But if you get back to the Super Bowl, you're not going to do that again, right? Like the Seattle Seahawks are just going to hand the ball to Marshawn Lynch. They're never not going to hand the ball to Marshawn Lynch. Here, I'll give you an example. Last night's football game, the Bills aren't going to have 12 guys on the field when the Broncos miss the easiest field goal in the world and then fuck it up and let them kick it again and lose, right? You're not getting so you did it, right? And it sucks, right? But you're just not going to do it again, right? So you learn something, right?
I don't think Buffalo's learning much this year,
dude. They're
learning how to lose.
Wait,
they're not going to win. They're going to lose 10.
Did you say Buffalo?
Lose 10 games.
Did you say Buffalo lost to the Broncos?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad.
Dude, you need to do less drugs and stay awake. Yeah. It was a fun game, Peyton and Eli game. But yeah. I mean, it's on a much bigger scale when you're doing that. But. Yeah. I mean, you do learn more from when you fuck something up than when you don't, right? Like, if I screw something up, here's what I hope. I hope if I screw it up, I don't do it again. I mean, I'm not a goddamn genius, and I'm probably average at 99% of the things I do.
I mean, most jobs, you can afford to make a mistake. Here's a job where you can't here's like a couple of jobs. Here's a job where you can't afford to make a mistake. Okay, you're an anesthesiologist. You can't really afford to fuck that up. I mean, like if you give someone too much or too little of the
right, you would hope that there's a fail-safe.
That's why they're the highest paid profession, because or obstetrician or something. You can't really afford to have a bad day. Brain surgery, can't really afford to have a bad day at the office.
Right, but you know what?
I can afford to have.
You know what? If you're a person who does have bad days, podiatrist. Who really gives a shit? Yeah. If you fuck that up, I mean, you can just fix that.
You misidentified that bunion.
Yeah. I mean,
a corn. I thought it was a corn.
Yeah, we are going to have to cut off your toe. Sorry, man. All right, so I wanted to do this before we get out of here. There's 3 ways I found this out.
Wait, am I doing a movie?
Oh, can we do it tomorrow? Can we do it next show?
Yeah.
Yeah, can we do it next show? Oh, sorry, man. Just save it. I'm sorry. Hey, Mark.
This show's all about Matt. It's all about Matt.
Mark,
I'm not going to look at you.
Mark, I fucked up.
See, he made a mistake, too.
I made a mistake. Okay. There's 3 ways to combat being average. Okay? This is what I got. Follow your curiosity. Okay? So if you're feeling average, find something that you're interested in and kind of follow that thing and make it something special. And that's kind of why the 3 of us are here right now. I mean, that's what it is. Lean into hard work. That's what they say. Lean into hard work, which
what does that mean?
That one I don't like because it just seems like there's less time for fun. Yeah. Like I honestly believe that people are getting it better. They have so much information that they know that you don't have to work hard all the time.
Well, there's no nobility in when you think about it. Why would you work harder and not smarter? There's no nobility in that. Why make something harder than it needs to be?
Right. And then one of the articles that Tim wrote about, we didn't get into that either, was that life is really a collaboration. okay? There's so many people in our lives. And if they're all doing it pretty average, pretty adequately, we're going to have a pretty good life. So what you want to do when you're doing that is find your cheerleaders. Find people that are honestly going to support you.
Oh, good.
I mean, and I'm not talking about like if you murder somebody. No, that's an accomplice.
like your alibi witness.
Yeah, I've been saying that for years. Bring back the honey bears.
What?
You said cheerleaders. The Bears have no cheerleaders anymore.
Oh my
Bring
God.
back the honey bears.
That is not going to help. That is not going to help the worst team ever. Okay, but do it. I mean, life is really, and that was one of the really good articles. I mean, I'm telling you, man, this guy he wrote some really interesting stuff. The concepts of it, but our life is a collaboration. Like sometimes we'll sit, you're sitting at your house and you're here, or you're sitting in your office and whatever, and you're by yourself, but you're really not. I mean, really, there are so many people that touch our lives every day or every week or, all these different things that we do and people we don't necessarily see. But think about how much better your life is when you walk into a place and somebody says, "Hey, Ted, how's it going?" Right? Or they give you a friendly wave or, you do the same thing back and then somebody, our lives intertwine so much and we're so together, even though there are people that are very different from us. And that if we just find those people that are just supportive of us, I think it makes for a better life.
You know what I witnessed on Tuesday at the gym? Not Tuesday, Monday, yesterday.
Someone
right?
not
What's
putting
today?
their weights away.
And I don't know if this was a joke or not, but I don't think it was. You might know this guy. I had my headphones on, but I don't have them loud, but I hear the guy walk in. It was an older guy, and there was a guy that was maybe his age, maybe a little bit younger, working out in there. And the guy came in and he goes, "Hey, Bill, how you doing?" And he didn't respond to him. And he was just working out. He did not respond. And a few seconds go by, and the guy sat on a machine next to him, and he looked over and he goes, "So, you're here on an odd day. What makes you come today at this time?" And the guy looked at him and goes, "None of your fucking business."
No
And
way.
yeah, but here,
Wait a minute. Our gym, there's literally at any point, there's one person in the gym, and that's you. At best, I've seen 5 people in this gym, and they're all so nice.
So this guy was probably 70 years old, and he was really fit. And when he gets done working out, he goes and he walks on the path, on the walk.
The only guy I know is Steve. I learned a guy's name.
The track.
The track. Yeah. So he literally did that, and the guy started laughing, but he didn't laugh, and he went on to talk to him a little bit, and the guy didn't respond to him at all. And then the older guy that came in, he just left.
Wow.
Yeah, and I couldn't. I know, I could. This could have been like two friends like you and I, Ted, just goofing around. It could be all out of context because I had my headphones in and I wasn't really concentrating on it. But I heard the cordials at the beginning, and then when the guy didn't respond to the first cordial, and he asked him what he's doing on this day and this time, and he looked over and goes, "None of your fucking business." And the guy just kind of laughed it off, but the other guy didn't laugh at all.
That doesn't seem like a funny thing to say. I mean, like,
I would do that all the time to good friends. But,
a good friend.
This older guy left the gym after one machine and then went and sat at the table with a bunch of other guys. And when this guy came out, he went straight onto the track and just walked because I could see him walking around the track. There was no interaction after that. I was like, "Holy shit, dude!"
Okay, so
talk about like
we're gonna have some fun. Okay, so you and I are going to the gym at the time when that guy was there. We're gonna find you and I are gonna find
and ask him why he's there at that time.
This guy.
Why are you there? Why are you here?
Yeah, no, we're gonna find this guy, and I'm gonna fuck with him until he's either nice.
No, he looked
or
like
kicks
an angry guy. Yeah, he was like a Vietnam.
I don't care.
vet.
Either way, he's either gonna we're gonna laugh about it, or he's gonna kick my ass. He's gonna like cave in my head with like
it's
a 25
like,
pound
it's like Chris Hansen. What are you doing here?
Why are you standing over this guy? But all right, so let's put this thing to bed. It was great, man. God, I love talking to different people.
Yeah.
I really, really enjoy it. Tim was awesome, but Mark, last thoughts. I'm looking at Teddy and trying to scare him.
I think that the topic of his article. Can we post it on the website?
Yeah, you know what? I'll text him.
It?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's out there, so we can do anything we want.
Yeah.
But I'll email him at the end of the show and ask him if it's okay.
Because I think it's really interesting, and it puts life in perspective when you read it and you think about it. Especially when you're raising kids and you put all this pressure on them, and they get to a point like he has a 16-year-old son, I got a 17-year-old, and I got a 19-year-old. But my 17-year-old they both push back a lot. But now I'm living this through my second 17-year-old, and I'm really getting it now. And he said this to me on more than one occasion when I'm like, dude, you got to be doing this, this, and this because everyone else is doing. Because he's a basketball player. I'm like, everyone else right now is out there working their asses off, and you're not. You need. He's like, Dad, I'll be okay. It's fine. And I was like, yeah, but he's really good, and he's better than those kids. But I'm telling you, I'm like, hard work beats talent, and they're working hard. And
I don't buy that though.
No, I think talent. I think talent
almost. I think talent wins 99% of the time.
It's a motivational thing, but he's like, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I'm like, okay. And you know what? And I've gotten off his back the past 6 months to a year because he's okay with the results from the work that he's not or is putting in. And it's just basketball. So I'm like, I'm not putting a big deal on it. It's different if he's not doing the work that's required in class. That's different, right?
Right.
We're not talking about things that you should do. We're talking about things that are extracurricular, that it's okay to be average at this or that. Well, you're not hurting anybody. But
he's not going to be a pro, right?
Right. Well, I know that's the other thing too. I mean, he's not even going to, be below a pro. I mean, he's going to be, for all intents and purposes, his basketball career is over after high school, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why I don't have any aspirations. Otherwise, I just want him to have a great senior year. But yeah, he puts things in perspective. And the last year, he's like, I'll be fine. I'm like, okay. So I haven't written him at all. And reading Tim's article, it's like, yeah, it is okay. So my final thought is everybody should read that article and give it some thought. And you could put it into perspective on many different levels, personal and other people's lives and what's going on in the world, like you said, in Gaza and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, it was the same thing. Like when Jack, I mentioned this on the show before, but when Jack didn't want to play college baseball anymore because he was getting hurt and it wasn't fun anymore, that he came to me and he was just like, "Are you okay with it?" I'm like, hold on a second, I must have done something wrong because it's your life, it's not my life, right? I know you're not going to be a pro, but if you don't like doing something, don't do it anymore. If you don't want to do this thing anymore, don't do it. So that was one of those things that put it in perspective to me. Like, what did I do wrong that he thought that it wouldn't be fine if he was just like, hey man, I want to do something else. I'm like, hey man, that's you. Yeah, I'm not in charge of you. You're an adult man now. Yeah, go ahead and do your thing. I probably should have figured that out when he was like 12 or 14 or something, but I didn't. So I don't know. Teddy, last thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I figured out obviously a long time ago intuitively that I'm pretty much just cog in the wheel, average. I'm not gonna set the world on fire. But the cool thing is if you could just do something extraordinary, just once in a while, just have a flash of just something that not necessarily just help you, but just like help somebody else where they didn't see that coming or they didn't expect it, or whether it's in sports or something, like let's just say you're just an average hitter, and once in a while you just hit a home run. That's kind of cool because no one expects it of you. I mean, but that's good self-satisfaction. I actually kind of feel sorry for the people who are probably more gifted, but then something stops them along the way, like there's like an injury or just something that stops their trajectory. That's got to be frustrating for them because they've probably been told their whole life that hey, or they can clearly see that they're better at their peers at whatever endeavor, and then something stops them and now they're kind of pulled back into the pool of averageness. I think those are the people that need to reconcile their existence, and just say hey, because I mean, if you were never like going to exceed in something, it's like, well, there was no expectation anyway. But it's just about managing your, you just got to be happy with what you have, at the end of the day, and accentuate that. So,
and I think some of that is, I mean, remember that there's 8 billion people on the earth.
8 billion people.
If you live in Lincoln, Nebraska, and you're special, are you really special? Because it's just Lincoln, Nebraska. You're the king of Lincoln, Nebraska, but there's going to be 7 billion plus other people. Yeah. So are you really that great, right? So just kind of accept that.
The mayor from Lincoln, Freddie Hoiberg.
Freddie Hoiberg's the mayor.
And I'm going to blow you away with one average thing, and then I'm going to give you my last thoughts. On an average day, are you ready for this? 22% of men come home from work. Okay, or 22% of men come home from work and do housework. Okay, some kind of housework, cleaning, laundry, whatever. Ready for this? On an average day, 47% of women come home and do that. So all you lazy sons of bitches, and I am one of them, I want you to think about what we do and what you do, right, when you're average, and kind of, pick it up a little bit, right? Yeah. So just, I don't know, just think about that. Guys, do a little better, okay? Do a little better and make the world a little bit better place and Man, I cannot wait for our next show.
Oh boy.
No, actually, we got no guests. We got nothing. It's just gonna.
Yeah, I know.
It's just gonna be.
Like,
it's just gonna be three mumbling idiots.
Well, you got your movie mentioned next show.
Yeah,
chomping at the bit for that.
Yeah, I'm upset about that.
You are, and I might have somebody. I might.
He's
have,
like, you got to do 2.
Sorry.
I'm like, all right. I'm like, shoot.
Dude,
So,
I wasn't.
I tuned out like in and out of this show because I'm focused on that. So I'm so. And then he's like, no.
I didn't pay attention to most of this show.
And then you were just told there's no Christmas. I know what you mean.
I dialed this show in, you know.
But I might have
my movie mention.
Yeah, I might have somebody special coming in and sitting down and joining us. A local person in studio sitting down and joining us. So.
When? Before Thanksgiving?
Yeah, for our show right before Thanksgiving. So
I know who it is, Ted.
No, you don't.
I don't.
Can we guess? Is it going to be a mystery guess?
No, I mean they're going to be sitting right there if they come.
So it's somebody that we know.
Oh, yeah. It's not anybody you don't know yet.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So hey, listen up. Get on. Everybody keep sending. Listen, try not to be so goddamn mean to me, okay? but you can be mean to Ted, and I'll share all that stuff. But yeah, keep sharing your tips. God, keep sharing that stuff. You guys are awesome. Anything that we screwed up today, let us know. Don't be mean to Tim.
You know what? Here before we leave,
Tim's a great guy.
You're talking about listeners. I know what they're going to talk. I know what the first thing is to come up: the toilet thing with Australia.
Yeah,
I thought it was
the loo. That's going to get under.
I thought that was the loo. The loo must be England, right? Like what do they call it? The loo.
They call it the loo all over
L-O-O.
the place. Yeah,
I'm sure there's different things, but yeah, I know for a fact that someone right now is getting on social media and sending us what direction toilets flow.
It's a Simpsons thing.
Yeah,
with Australia.
all different things. So, okay, hey man, go ahead and send us all the toilet talk you got, and we will see everybody next week.